Hello everybody, it's your host Mitchell from Notorious Radio 718, and I'm happy to be back with my buddy Z this week. We'll be talking more UFC, more topics, things about the division, things about what's going to happen in the future over the summer, and he's going to pick my brain a little bit, and we're going to have a good time doing it.
Mitch, don't forget to let the guys know to subscribe to our YouTube channel on the bottom of your screen. You should see it pop up at any moment, alright? And then if anybody has any interesting topics you'd like us to bring up, please be sure to comment, share, and follow, and we'll make sure to bring them up for you guys.
Notorious. The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here! Notorious!
Everybody, it's Mitchell, your host from Notorious Radio 718, and we're coming in and we're giving you our thoughts on the UFC. We feel like the division is a little bit held up in the lightweight, and we're going to give our thoughts on how it's going to move forward today and what we think is going to happen in the near future and what's good for the brand, what's not, and which fighter stock is going to rise, fall, and we're going to kind of break it down for you, nice and simple.
I'm glad to hear that. Mitch, let's talk about what's going on right now next. Who do you think is up in line for the lightweight championship fight?
I think that's easy. You know, with Charles Oliveira technically being, he got stripped. You know, he got stripped of his title.
He missed weight.
He missed weight. And at this point, he beat Poirier. He beat Gaethje. The next person is a no-brainer. He has to fight Islam. You know, let them do that fight in Abu Dhabi.
So you're saying it's the only logical step for the UFC to do that?
It's the only logical. The fight that they missed with Dariush and Islam, it doesn't really even matter because right now Dariush is hurt. He can't do nothing. He's on the sidelines. There's no timetable return for him.
So let's give the fans some kind of action, and then once Dariush gets better, give him his shot as well.
Exactly.
And if
Oliveira is healthy, Islam is healthy.
So why not?
Why not?
It's about the sport at the end of the day.
Everybody wants it. It's what the fans want at the end of the day. The other fights are just, they don't do it. And if he would beat them, we would be like, he was meant to beat them.
So do you honestly think Usman might return from his injury?
He will, but he'll take his time. He really can. He can let his division play out a little bit before he makes his return. He has no reason to rush. He feels like if he rushes, he can really hurt his career in the long run. When he's defended his title plenty of times, there's really no question that he's the best guy.
I gotta be honest with you, it sounds like a serious chess game here.
I mean, it's always a chess game when it comes to cage fighting. But at the same time, as a champion, and these champions that I'm naming, between Oliveira, Usman, Volkanovski, they're active champions. They're trying to fight at least twice a year. They're doing their best if the fights make sense. If it, you know, they want pay-per-view. They want to make sure they can build the fight.
But it's also about the sport behind it itself.
I know.
So what do you think about all the fighters that keep calling out Conor McGregor every time?
For me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby. So don't say you would not take that fight, because you would take that fight like everyone else up here would take the fight against me if it was offered, regardless of belts or any of that shit. I'm the money fight in the male shit at all weight divisions, so fuck everybody else up.
Do you think that's fair? Do you think it's earned?
I mean, listen, it's just publicity. Conor's the biggest name, the biggest revenue, the red panty night. They want to get paid from him. So in a sense, they call him out. If the fight matures, then great. But if it doesn't, in a sense, it's like a little tabloid. It's just like a little bite for them. You know,
so
just
you say for the management it's about the business, but for the fighter it's about the sport. Because at the end of the day, Conor's a big name. Anybody to take that down earns a nice name for themselves.
I agree. I look at it as the UFC. They're on ESPN. They're one of the biggest names right now. And anyone who can get the most watch fights, it's about viewership. It's about like who's who. It's not about the record sometimes. Like Nate Diaz is big. Conor is big. Khabib is big. John Jones.
So you'd say the most interesting thing about it is the fact that at the end of the day it ends in one big question mark. Everybody's wondering who's going to match up, who's going to win. That's what keeps it interesting.
That's what it is. It's always the top 10 just shuffling. And then people essentially just trying to crack into the top 15. That's really the game of the UFC. It's like the Game of Thrones, you know? Someone got to get whacked. You know, people got to move up and down.
Every one of the Starks No. That was your mistake. You should have ripped them all out, root and stem. Leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe.
I gotta be honest with you, I couldn't agree with you more. The UFC is such a well-established, how can you put it, business, I'd say, or what, sport? It's a little bit of both, honestly, because sometimes you lose track of what it is, if it's more sport or if it's more business. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get these rivalries, you get these big names. At the end of the day, sometimes it's the little guy that's working his way up and ends up making a name for himself.
The way I look at how the way a UFC is built, it's built more like a union. You know, like people when they come to a city, like people know who the UFC is. It's like that show is in town. You don't necessarily have to know the fighters. You know,
But you know the business.
Dana White.
You know the brand.
UFC. It's an amazing event.
Yes.
It's like Rome coming to your city, the Colosseum.
Yes.
Coming to
Yes,
your
gladiators.
town. It's a gladiator. It's like exciting. People want to come, friends, drink. It's like a whole thing, you know.
It's amazing that you said that. I actually caught chills because, not for nothing, that's an amazing analogy. It couldn't get any closer to that. Back in ancient Rome, back in those days when Caesar was thumbs up and thumbs down, it really is a gladiator sport, because where else can you do the things you can do to an opponent? You know, even boxing, you got the greats, Tyson, Ali, Foreman, all these amazing athletes, but none of them are anywhere near close to being able to do to what these gentlemen can do to each other down in the cage.
You know what it is? It's like when it comes to boxing and UFC, since boxing is such a more like older,
Regulated.
No, it's an Olympic sport. It has
Yes.
deeper roots. It has a way of like the way they grow the sport, and I feel like boxing they build up, and it's really hard to like for fighters to get into like the top 10.
It's a discipline.
It's the growth. They're more careful with their fighters. I feel like they're managed more cautiously. They're young fighters. They don't want them to go into like bad situations where it can possibly hurt their career. Whereas in the UFC, you can come in, have 2 losses, something like Chandler. No, I mean, he had a win. He beat Dan Hooker, then followed by 2 losses, but he fought hard, Oliveira and Gaethje. But then he had a crazy knockout against Ferguson.
Unexpected.
And just, listen,
And
unexpected
just
or
blew
not,
up.
but his name is back at the
It
top of the
shot him
list.
up.
You know, the momentum that people have in the UFC, it's like no other. You know, it's something about the way, like, people's stocks
It's
grow.
not, yeah.
It's like, it's unreal. You can start as like a penny stock, and then you're a star. Just a few big knockouts, it's a big shift. And in the other promotions, I feel it's not as a big of swing, and it's more heavily dominated by, like, Canelo, Floyd Mayweather,
big money, big
you know,
name fighters,
big
yeah.
names. The people who have their own promotions, they have their own sponsorships. Where Dana White keeps everything more privatized.
It's a completely different business because the fighters don't even make as much as boxers, like they talk about all the time.
Even though boxers get paid more, right? They have more opportunities to add to their
More
salary.
publicity.
No, I don't think it's more publicity. They can have more private sponsorships.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
They can essentially get paid more because the audience it's larger. It's a longer running sport. There's more purists.
Mhm.
Some people only want to see people fight with the hands.
Mhm.
They don't want to see legs. They don't want to see you wrestle. There's something about the purity of the sport that people are obsessed. Like, you're either lefty, you're righty, you're tall, you're short, but it's the same game. It's not like you can.
You could say they
It's
were
more
raised,
technical.
You could say they were raised into it. It was passed down.
It's more passed down, and it's like I said, since it's Olympic and they have like junior
It's limited.
rankings. No, you can grow a boxer way differently. A lot of these MMA guys were former wrestlers. Some were former boxers. Some were former jiu-jitsu guys. Their careers didn't exactly pan out, or they were kickboxers, and they transitioned into MMA.
Mhm.
It's maybe now going forward, we'll see children going directly into MMA, or maybe right away from the beginning. Like, we'll be bringing up our youth with, like, you'll do some jiu-jitsu, you'll do some wrestling, but you'll do some boxing. Before, like, you put the kid into one sport.
Nowadays, the sport can find them in a sense.
Yeah, and like before, a lot of fighters like around the world, they didn't know how to train for MMA, like prepare for like 5-minute fighting, and you know, shorter, like longer rounds, shorter fight. Versus boxing, a shorter round,
But
longer fight.
Yes.
Different stamina, different concept of like
yes.
their training, and
It's different rules all around. I mean, listen, they call it a cage fight for a reason.
exactly.
Because how many knockouts have you seen? How many submissions have you seen where before they even get a chance to tap out, they lose consciousness? I mean, they call it a cage fight for a reason. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, you know what it is, and I noticed, you know, they fight till the end always in the UFC.
And that like a true gladiator.
Yeah, they're
Fighting
real
for their
gladiators,
lives.
the fighters. They always finish strong. They do their best to put on their best performance.
And that's the respectable level behind it because they're literally fighting for their lives. At least that's their mentality behind it. Guys, listen, if you have any other good comments, any other good topics, why don't you chime on in? We have no problem answering to them. We have no problem bringing them up. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel on the bottom of the screen.
Guys, remember, we love hosting you. We love talking to you. We love your insight. We love your opinion. Always chat, comment in the section, and please follow us on all platforms. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Your host, Mitchell from Notorious.
NZ, have a good night.
And great to see you.